Hello. Today is September 3rd, 2023. I mentioned this because I just want people to know what day it is and where I'm at right now. Today we're going to start a new series on the neuroscience of reptiles. And today we're going to try to cover the basics, and we're going to start with bearded dragons. Now, what I would love to have from the audience is, because we're going to go over the very bare basics, and then I want to go over theories on another day, things that I understand, and I want to go over behavioral stuff, connecting it to neuroscience. Not just in bearded dragons, but all the reptiles that I could possibly think of. And it's been very fascinating to do this research, to read these papers and, discover this stuff. But what I need from you guys is, do you guys, after I do this episode, and we get the very, very basics of neuroscience right here, of the actual brain mapping, then do you guys want me to go from bearded dragons to snakes, or do you want me to break it down per thing of the brain, the part of the brain? So going over the cerebellum and how it looks different in other reptiles and how that might explain different things, or the ventricles and how those are different in different reptiles and things like this. Or do you guys want me to go, okay, so we see this behavior in bearded dragons, and we see this behavior. This is what they're talking about. This is the part of the brain for this particular species, but then this other part, comparing everything back to a bearded dragon, because most of us in this reptile industry have had bearded dragons. So we have somewhere to start here. And I think that's why I'm doing bearded dragons, because it's very documented. And it's really quite impressive how documented it actually is. So let me know in the comments, what's the next step? Do you want me to break it down piece by piece, like I'm doing in this video, but do videos on each one of those individual pieces and how they differ in different reptiles? Or do you guys want me to start different reptiles and break down the different parts of the brain that would explain behaviors and all sorts of stuff like that? That's why I'm here to do this. But today, we're going to keep it bare bones, get the very, 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 very basics on what these are. Okay? So let's go ahead and start. I have come across several papers. This seems to be the leading experts in this. It's really freaking fascinating. So this paper that I have read is actually the same people that put this together. And they did a fantastic job with this. Like, this is just fantastic. Brainstem works your way up. You have different sides. You actually, here's your, and then it actually extends outwards here. Their brain actually goes from here to here. It's really fascinating. And this right here at the top is actually the parietal eye. So it's really fascinating. See, right there. So now, that is such a cool model. And it's the same people that actually did this paper. So this is an image. So this image. And they broke it down into actual more capacitive. Okay, here we go. So I'm terrible with names. I'm so sorry, guys. So the thalamus is this piece right here, the orange. So this is the bearded dragon brain right here. This is the spine side of things, And this is the actual nose of the beardy over on this side with the CD. This is the nose. The eyes are right here. And this is the spine. So the thymus is right here, the orange spot. And the thymus is actually the gray matter structure of the located news is above the midbrain, allowing the nerve fibers connections. So the thymus actually connects all the units together. It sends the information where it needs to go in the brain. In the human brain, it's actually inside the brain. We have the pink here is the optic nerve. So the optic nerve is what connects the eyes. Like I said, the eyes are right here in front of it. So it's what connects the eyes to the actual brain. This would be a neat one to look at to see differences in this optical nerve in reptiles. But it literally just connects that to the thalamus, and that connects to everything else. The optic tectum. Okay, so this tectum, I apologize for butchering that, but the forest green, it's actually where the animal's brain takes all the information from your smell, your hearing, your eyes, and it puts it all together. So it's very fascinating. Okay, so that's interesting. And there is, as we look down here, we can see there's two sides to it. There's two sides to your cerebral cortex, to their cerebral cortex. So that's very fascinating. So that's where all that input information gets dealt with. So this right here, this blue, is the lateral ventricle. Okay, so this is what the actual fluid, this is where it creates the fluid for its own brain. This is how it produces it and spreads it through the ventricles. The medulla, this right here, this is where the brain and nerves attach to the spinal cord. Most of us have heard of the medulla. God, I'm so sorry, guys, that I'm butchering this. But this is pretty cool stuff. It'll get even cooler when we start actually producing this, explaining how all this works. So on this A mark, this is the okay, let's go back. This medulla actually helps with your heart and your nerves and all that stuff functions. Oh, cool. So this is cool. This is your cerebral, is actually their cerebral brain. This part of the brain is this whole frontal, this whole top part. That red spot is a bearded dragon's. This is actually the part of your brain in humans that stores your memories, where you find your imagination and your memory retrieval. This is a very important part of our brain as a whole. And beardies actually have that. Like, it's actually something that exists inside of their heads. It's not just a nothingness in there. They're not just a monster. Okay, so let's go to the next. ventricle, the purple right here inside the optical tectum. This is one of those that I'm a little confused about on what exactly it is. I'm just going to tell you right now, there's a few things in it. I don't know. I've seen talk that maybe this is not necessarily a human thing, but don't quote me on that right now. We'll see if we can get a neuroscientist on here to explain this part of it better to us. But this green, this neon green right here, like a snake-looking thing, actually, which fits, when we look down at this bottom one, it fits right in between the medulla. And this is your cerebral. And your cerebral is the part of the skull that regenerates and coordinates your muscles. So this is really cool that there's two separate hemispheres for it. And so this is their muscles. And when you look at the human brain, it's these two parts right here in the back of your skull that are actually below your cerebral cortexes in the back of your brain. These control your muscles right back here. It's pretty cool. And a lot of this stuff that we see in this are actually inside this brain. Like, we actually have the same things in the brain. I just can't take this off and really get into depth here. Well, maybe I can. Because we see inside, there's the gray matter. There's these pieces right here that are curved. These are some of the pieces that we're talking about. All this internal stuff, this is the stuff that's in their brain that is so present and dominant, which is really fascinating to me. We got it back on. Okay, cool. So the last piece of it, this frontal part, your olfactory stalk and lobe, I'm pretty sure most of you can figure this out. This is the part of the brain that looks a little bit different. All this frontal stuff is the most different looking of all the reptiles. So we'll get into the differences in that. It's pretty cool. But this is where your oral and a lot of these other sensories that reptiles have goes into the brain. And we actually have that too. So I hope you guys will stick around for more episodes and let me know what it is that you guys want me to spread to, because it's really fascinating. The only thing that I couldn't really learn that's not like regularly available is this tectal ventricle. I don't really know what that does. Other than that, everything else is actually makes a lot of sense. And we're just talking about bearded dragons today. That's it. So why don't we do tomorrow? I go over some theories and some stuff that, understanding their bearded dragon behavior through their neuroscience. Why don't we do that tomorrow? I look forward to hearing from everybody, and hopefully you guys will get in the comment section and let me know, how do you guys want me to break this up? Go by species or whatever I can to show the differences in the different brains? Or do you want me just to show the individual brain parts, like the auditory, the oral, the nose stuff? Like, what's the differences in the different species when it comes to the nose? What's the difference in the ventricle? What's the difference in the medulla? What's the difference in the cerebral? What's the differences, and how might we actually see those in different species play out? Like, why does the chameleon seem so slow? I saw a chameleon brain with the same people. It's cool. Snakes. Why are they the way they are? We can break all this down. It's very fascinating. And this is what I want to do. If you want to come on and talk about your particular species, like Bill Strand, you want to come on and talk about chameleons and their behavior and how their brains do that, we can do that. I would love to talk to you about that. Knowles, Arnold, Herc Time. Would you like to come on and talk about that? I mean, there's so many different ways we could do this, and we can do it all. Let's do it. Let's get down to it. Hey, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys, and you guys have a good day. And everything will be in the description.